This next activity is certainly something that you could do with participants, with residents, because it's relatively easy compared to the hedgehogs and the snakes. You can use a stencil. You could get a stencil shape to help you guide where you're actually going to put your dough, or you could do it freehand, and I think we're going to do it freehand today. We're going to do a love heart. So I'll just put that out the way. So I've got this lovely bit of dough here, sweet dough, and you can already see the bubbles rising in the dough. And again, that's something that you can point out to people in the group, and people can talk about how it's smelling and how it's feeling. It's not so sticky now. So we've got a tray, and what we need to do is create an outline for our shape. You can choose any type of shape, really. Love hearts are lovely to do, and people really appreciate those. So what we're going to do is just cut off, and you can just cut bits of dough and get people working. So if you show them what to do first of all, so what we want are some ropes of dough to create our shape. And you don't have to be so picky with this. You can just... Now, if people are working the dough and it starts to spring back, then just encourage them to leave it. And you can talk about the gluten in the dough and how it's just become quite well worked and it just needs to relax a little bit. So what we're going to do is just create our shape. So you get different people to do different tasks. People can do ropes or they can do balls as well. I'm just going to put this together. Now, I'm not a great artist, so it's going to be pretty rough and ready, but that's the beauty of it. We're not talking about having something that's perfect. We're going to have something that's tasty and beautiful and brings smiles to people's faces. So there we have a little heart, as you can see there. Our next job for people around the table is to just create little balls. So just cut off bits of dough. And this can be quite a challenge. People might want to go like that and flatten them. Again, you don't have to be too particular. You don't want to be sort of telling people to be perfect with what they're doing, because ultimately, as the dough rises and as it goes in the oven and you get that oven bloom, it'll all change shape as well anyway. So it's really about just encouraging people to play with the dough, feel how it's feeling, enjoy it, and just take part with their friends in the group. Now, you don't want to put them too close together, because as the dough proves, then the gaps are going to close. And certainly, once it goes in the oven, you will get a lovely big sharing bread with everything joined together that you can break apart and enjoy with a cup of tea. And you can get people to put their balls of dough in. You can cut off lots of bits, have somebody a chief dough cutter, and just and again you can see I'm not being really fussy. That's not the purpose of the exercise. The purpose of the exercise is really just to enjoy the feel of the dough, to use their muscles, to enjoy the company of others, and to share the process of making a sharing bread with this beautiful, sweet dough. Now, with some shapes, if you create something quite small, if you've got small bits to it, then you can get people to make really tiny little bits of dough, and that's so they don't all have to be the same size. And in fact, it's quite nice to have different sizes, because when it comes to choosing which bit they want to eat, you'll always find that some people go for the really big bits and some people want to head for the very small bits, and some in between. The rope on the outside gives your shape some definition, so it's quite important, because otherwise you'll just have a load of balls of dough together. But by having the rope round the outside, that gives a little bit of definition to the shape. Now, having put our love heart together, we're just going to pop a clean tea towel over the top, again to stop a skin forming, and we're going to leave that for about half an hour to prove, and then we will egg wash it, and people in the group can sprinkle it with whatever they want to sprinkle it with, and then we can pop it in the oven. So our final job with our sweet bread dough is to finish off our love heart that we created together with the participants in the group. And you can see that we have a very sweet little love heart. You can make it even bigger than this if you wish. And you can see how the dough balls have formed together and have created a lovely little love heart for people to share. So your next job, or that of your participants, is to egg wash and to decorate. And in the time in between the dough rising and you getting to this point, you can do other things. You can have some buns that you've made already and have a cup of tea and some jam. You could have a sing-along or you could do other activities perhaps that you do, because that's the beauty of the bread making process. It allows time to go away and do other things. So you can make the dough in the morning and then come back together later in the day, if you're going to do that as a group, if you're able, or you can just do some sing-along or art or reading or whatever it is that you want to do together with the residents. So having had somebody egg wash your buns, your heart, they can then choose, and I think I'm going to go for something a little bit different this time. I've got some sparkly sprinkles. Now the residents might decide that they want to do a different colour on different buns. They might want to mix, they can do whatever they want. It's up to them, it's their bread, it's their decision, they're in control. And here are some little sugar strands as well. I've sometimes seen residents sneak their sweet buns into their handbags to take back to their rooms and enjoy later in the afternoon as a treat. It's just lovely. And I'll just put some around the edge. A little bit understated. You could get things going a little bit wild and multicoloured with some of the groups, but I'm just going to keep it a little bit simple here. So you've got your lovely little love heart ready to go in the oven. And we'll pop that in and have a look in about 15 minutes.